Hello, welcome to IG's Trade of the Week for the week beginning Monday, the 5th of August. We'll look at the trade idea in a minute, but first let's look back to last week with our short euro-dollar trade, which was working out quite nicely. We had euro-dollar continue to weaken against the dollar into last week's Fed meeting, and then it all changed dramatically on Friday, of course, with that payrolls reading, because the very weak reading on payrolls meant that the dollar was weakening on expectations that the Fed will have to cut in September. And indeed, with the volatility we've seen in equity markets, that means we're now expecting a much bigger Fed rate cut, a 50 basis point cut in September now expected, which has driven the dollar lower and driven euro-dollar higher through our stop at 108.80. So that one has been stopped out for the time being, but the stop working as intended. Moving on to next week, although before we start, we should just sort of add a point here that this is a very volatile week of equity markets, particularly in the equity indices at the moment, but it won't be confined to those. FX markets likely to see volatility as well, particularly in the dollar. So whatever you're trading this week, remember to make sure your risk management is in place, your stops are in place, and you're not risking too much over account on any one trade idea. But this is still, if you trade the week, we need to find an example of how to trade this thing, and we look at the pound against the US dollar, because it's an interesting one, because you've had a UK rate cut last week, but suddenly in comes an expected Fed 50 basis point rate cut, and that's lifted the pound against the dollar. It's not shown the same big upside as the euro, but it has seemed to stabilize around 127, and therefore we'd look to go long the pound, I think, against the pound against the dollar with a close above 128.30. So we're going to long the pound, but only if we get a close above 128.30 to help solidify the view that a low has been formed. And it's a fairly obvious place to put our stop, but 127. I think we'll put our stop at 127 itself. If we get a close back below there, that'll hit the stop and negate the expected trade idea. But at the moment, you've got an uptrend from mid-April, so this could be a higher low. So that's IG's Trade of the Week for the week beginning Monday, the 5th of August. We're going to go long pound against the US dollar, long cable, when it moves above 128.30, and putting our stop at 127.